that I said those slides are there. No, raise your hand. Honestly, if you trust that tiny URL will actually take you to these slides. Really? That's a little less than I expected. Because, okay, who trusts that my name's actually Dwayne? Okay, that's a fair amount of trust. Yeah. Well, you don't know me yet, so that's a weird thing to trust me on. The fact that you don't trust TinyURL, which you can preview at the TinyURL website, but you trust me is weird. Cool. So I'm going to volunteer. Somebody just raise your hand. You can do it from where you're sitting. Hey, volunteer. There you go. That's sure. So ring, pick up your phone. Hello, this is the Microsoft Customer Service Center, and we need to get into your Windows machine. Can you install remote desktop for us?
All right, wait.
We all got a good laugh, but why is that fundamentally untrustworthy? Yeah, that is. Yeah, that's the same joke. Microsoft doesn't care enough about you to call you. But, all right, that's how we treat humans. We have really good bullshit detectors as humans. We really do. We've developed them over thousands of years of being humans. Something don't smell right. The word phony comes from the fact when telephones came around, there were enough scam artists to pick up the phone and be like, hey, I'm so-and-so, give me some money. And people gave enough money that became a term called phony. What if they said, hey, I have this password you gave me, and that here's a code, now trust me. How many people would trust, like, I gave someone a code a long time ago, and they called up and used the same code word. Say, oh, I don't know you, but I trust you blindly with that code word. Anybody give them the money then? All right, that's how we treat machines. It's like, here's a long-lived password we built for this API call 2 years ago, and I don't know who's calling me. All I know is you got that password. Here's the database. Humans are not machines. The whole rest of this talk, I'm going to harp on this and non-human identities, because this is important. Because in 2022, this was the data that CyberArk put out. Like, their research said about 45-to-1 machine identities to human identities. And again, machine identities generally have these long-term, long-lived passwords that anything can use. Anybody, anything can use to get that data in most traditional setups. Right now, the estimate's closer to 100-to-1. That's what 100-to-1 looks like. But guess what? It's 2025. We live in the world of agentic AI. Who knows the difference between an AI agent and agentic AI? Anybody? Anybody? I just learned this myself. I was at Deniverse a few weeks ago. Identity in Vegas. An agent is a single unit of AI worker that does a thing. It's a box that says, here's the thing, give me the thing back. Agentic is the stringing together, the orchestration of AI agents to do a complex thing. Like, build me an attack chain using OSINT to get into this bank. I saw the proof of concept of that a few months ago at RSA, and it blew my mind. It's like, this took me 20 minutes, and he simulated months of work from one of the malware groups. This is the world I think we're going to live in very soon. I don't know how many's up there, and I never counted. I just thought it looked cool. But that's the truth. We're going to this world, and if we keep doing the old way of authentication and authorization, we're doomed. I'm Dwayne. I came down here from Chicago. I've never been to San Antonio. Love it here. Saw the Alamo yesterday. I went to a punk rock show last night. You got a really cool punk scene here. I have a repo podcast, the security podcast called the Security Repo Podcast. Who doesn't have a podcast now? I used to be the co-host. Now I'm just the host. Find me on Mastodon and LinkedIn. LinkedIn probably the most professional, but I cross-post everything to Blue Sky as well. Enough about me. I work for a company called GetGuardian. They'll come up a few times, so I'll talk about them at the very end. Maybe a little bit. CyberArk is one of my favorite companies. It sounds like I work for CyberArk because a lot of my stats come from them, and they're an awesome company. But 93% of organizations in the last 2 years, this is from last year, so 3 years, 93% said it had an attack. It's 86% according to Sophos and DBIR. It's like about 86% of attacks are in some way involved in an identity-based attack. What is an identity-based attack? Well, there's basically somebody acts on behalf of an entity and does things that that entity is allowed to do but not supposed to do. is privileged to do but not supposed to do. Here's a great example. This is a great identity-based attack that happened in May, from people that paid money for this theme in WordPress. I used to be a WordPress developer and a Drupal developer, and I hate WordPress, on the record, because of things like this. People bought this theme thinking it was safe, and anyone could just reset the passwords if they knew the proper string to call, including the admin passwords. So guess what? Your WordPress site that's running your business, someone's going to assume the identity of an admin and then use it for whatever malicious service they want. On the non-human side of things, these are big things that have happened recently, right? And you could go through and look for identity-based attacks, credential-based attacks, initial vector attacks, anything that involved a credential. And you're going to see stuff like this all the time. These are just two I picked because we wrote a blog post about it at my company. Humans and non-humans are very different. Humans, pretty straightforward to define, and we heard that great presentation from the last speaker on, if you were here for that room, in this room. People have passwords too, and I'm not downplaying that, but that's not the scale of the problem we're talking about. Passkeys, FIDO, we have some awesome solutions coming out in the development. Retina scanners, fingerprints that unlock extremely long passkeys that get rotated upon every use. These are things that are happening right now, and it's awesome. For non-humans, though, non-humans are a lot harder to define, because how many people have even heard the phrase commonly used non-human identity? Anybody? Yeah. It's proven a negative. I have been exploring this stuff in the IAM space and security space for about a year now, and I've decided it's a dumb term. IAM's a great term. No, non-human identity is the not human. There's only two kinds of things in the whole world, a potato and not a potato. That's not really helpful for a categorization taxonomy. Versus the IETF, the Internet Engineering Task Force, the people that write ICP, TP, HTML, HTTP, those standards. This is the standard they're working on right now called WMSI. I'll talk about more about it later, but this is their actual definition. I don't think anyone in the world can disagree with. If you do, please get in their mailing list and disagree with them on this, because they're on revision 4, revision 5 is coming out very soon of this, which again, I'll talk about later. But it's a running piece of software that does a thing. That's pretty straightforward to explain. This phone is a non-human, but this phone runs applications, and you're not attacking the actual piece of hardware. I hope not. Please don't take them and hurt my phone. But you're going to attack the things on it and what those things are connected to. OWASP says this. They hardened it down to this, which, again, I don't like the term, but that's what we say. They followed Gartner because Gartner was following a bunch of companies I'll talk about later, and this is what they ended up with. Well, I won't read the whole thing to you. Production software environments, they got things, they're non-human identities. Very importantly, in the OWASP definition, they specifically say they're associated with a secret. That is the core of the rest of my talk, is what do we do about this? These long-lived things that we give. Now, they don't need to be long-lived. If you are always issuing brand new JOTs, JWTs, with very short expiry times, or X509s that live for 24 hours and expire and everybody's happy, good job. You've done it well. You've done it right. The future's looking good for you. If you haven't heard of anything I just said, and you're still using API keys that look like that, and you're seeing code that people look like that, I speak to a lot of different type of conference. So pardon me for assuming you're all developers, and assuming you all work in security, and assuming you're all IAM experts. But I talk to all of these people all the time at DevOps conferences, developer conferences. I spoke at DevNexus this year, the oldest Java conference in the world, and I love it. It was just great. PHP Tech. So when I say you're using this, I don't mean you personally are going out and making these systems, but the systems you're securing, that's what I'm talking about. If the systems you're working on, I always have to make that clarification. If the systems you're working on are still just chock full of these things that aren't time-bound, that aren't have an automatic rotation policy, that's what the rest of this talk is getting into. So what I want to do for the rest of this is, how many people here work in security whatsoever? How many people are developer adjacent or developer facing, and you have to secure developer code? Okay? You are the people I want to inspire today. I want you to go back and find developers who do this stuff and have this conversation with them that we're about to have. It's not very super complicated. It's pretty straightforward, but it's about awareness. Yeah, they look like that. They look like a lot of things. AI will pop up in this talk, such as this. I made this 4 weeks ago. I said, hey, give me an example hitting an API endpoint. Anybody see the problem with this? I don't know if you can see it from the back. It's very bright in here. But yeah, just your access token. Not environmental variable call, not any explanation whatsoever. I truncated it, but there's no explanation whatsoever to never put something plain text there. Does anyone want to guess why all of Claude and Cursor and all of the GPTs do that? It's not just the documentation. Guess what they trained it on? They trained it on GitHub. Have you ever seen the code on GitHub? In fact, we do. That's something my company does. We do this thing where we look at every new commit that hits public. You can too. If you want to ingest the feed, it's api.github.com/events. And it's everything that happens in public. And we ingest it. And we look at everything that becomes a commit, or everything that's a new commit, or anything that gets made public. So it was private, now it's public. And we scan it for it's got a secret in it or not. And this is for a prize. All right, yeah, here it is. This is for a prize. How many secrets do you think we found added to GitHub Public in the year 2024?
Million.
A million. Other guesses. This is for a prize.
2 million.
What?
2 million.
2 million? A billion? Come on, for a prize. Yeah, how many hard-coded credentials, secrets, API keys, anything like that. Just add in the year 2024.
23,770,171.
You're disqualified, sir. So the person that said 2 million gets the prize. There you go. You cheated. But I didn't say you couldn't cheat, so I'll give you a prize later. You come down, I got a prize for you afterward. I'm just not going to throw it up that far. I'm worse thrower than this guy. But that's the report, and it's that number, because he just looked it up. Because I told you all to look at the slides. See? Actually, you know what? Just for that, just for you hacking my rule set, you get the other one I made. I was going to save it for later. But here, you get the other one. I just can't throw it that far. It's a crocheted octopus. I make them on planes. Yeah, but that's a horrifying number. That's why I do this little stupid giveaway joke. That was just in 2024. It's 4.6% of all repos. It's 69.6 million out of the, 400 million or whatever stupid number they have at this point. It's 25% growth year over year. I hate this part about my job. This is the thing that I want to stop. I want this to go away, and I can go out and do something else with my life. I'm not even joking. I tell my boss that all the time. Like, I don't want this company to have to exist. And let's look at this problem. 70% of the secrets valid. I got to frame that because that's way too small of an infographic. We've been doing this since 2020. We've been looking at every commit, and we store a fingerprint of all of these and the metadata of like where the path goes back to. So we can go back and spot check our work. So 11,000 we found to be valid, meaning they came back with something that said, hey, I work. You can do a non-intrusive call for most known systems. We look at a subset of the ones we found valid. Over 11,000 secrets, we're like, okay, how many of these are still valid? In 2025, in January, it was 70% of secrets we found valid to be valid in 2022 are still valid in 2025. Rotation problem is horrendous. And we ask a bunch of practitioners out there, oh shit, I got that out of the, sorry, I got that in the wrong order. Apologies. Like I said, I went to a punk rock show last night, didn't get a lot of sleep. The DBIR, yeah, it keeps popping back up. We know this is like a major issue because this is one of the favorite ways attackers get in. And not just their favorite way, it's the most common way according to DBIR. This is how most things start. Yes, exploitation of vulnerabilities is still huge. Phishing, huge, as we saw from previous. But credential abuse, I'm just going to straight up steal a credential and use it. The math says that's not going to be a human's. The math says that's going to be a database API connection string URL or something. And the thing that keeps getting attacked, the category of secrets that they found, this is our data, is for web application infrastructure. Guess what that connects to? Your databases. Guess what your CI/CD pipelines have access to? Pretty much everything. Average time to recover, or average time to rotate is like 94 days. Once it's known they have this issue. So this goes either out of order. We ask thousands of people, IT decision makers, us, and again, CyberArk, they keep popping up. I promise you I did not work for CyberArk. We asked them, over 1,000 people said, IT decision makers, like director level hire, wrote back, And they said, 75% said, we got strong confidence in our secret management capabilities. And then the same people admitted like only 44% of developers follow best security practices. Like what? That doesn't make any sense. But this is the one that stands out to me. It's like, oh yeah, our average time to remediate, they're reporting to us on a survey for companies that work in this field, 27 days. That's not what DBIR says. That's not what the actual facts say. That spot checking we did horrified us. We like took it public because we weren't originally going to report that in the report. That was just an experiment because we were just playing with numbers and we were like, is this real? And we checked and checked and checked again. It's like, oh my God, this is real. So what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? This is the conversation I want you to start having. Hey, everybody, it's horrible out there, but there's a future. First, breathe. I'm not even joking. Security is about protecting humans, period. That's it. There's 1,000 ways to do that. There's a billion approaches. There's offensive security, defensive technologies, blue team, red team, whatever we want to divvy up how we're protecting the humans. But at the end of the day, we want that developer to go home, be able to spend time with their family, get some rest, come back tomorrow and do kick-ass stuff. Not firefight at 3 a.m. because production's down and they're the only people that know how that system works. You don't want to get out of bed at 3 a.m. and fight a fire. You want everybody to take care of themselves first. So step back, breathe, remember, we're all doing this as best we can, and OWASP is on our side. Now, I love OWASP because I also see the world as everything's an application, and so do they. Application, that's what the A stands for, Open Worldwide Application Security Project. Who's here as a member? Any OWASP members in this house? Yeah, go OWASP. But they see the world very much through, why do you have a network? Oh, to run the application. Why do you have users? Because there's an application to hit. Why do you have a database? Oh, so you can power the application. Everything from that point of view. So that's kind of skews my world. Just keep that in mind. I think that's too many things. I think it's really just 3 things on that list. And if you go to a developer, like, here's 10 things I want you to learn about security, and the 10 things I want to talk to you about, you've already lost them. They ain't got time for that. They do X by Y date, or you're fired, and AI is going to take your job. That's the world of developers right now. Don't believe me? Go talk to anyone from Microsoft, Amazon, all the other places that are laying off developers left and right. So it comes down to ownership, technical complexity, and long lived secrets. The good news is one of these is pretty straightforward to deal with. Oh, what's the wrong way? Nope, I just put this wrong side. Yeah. But in order to do the other pieces and even get to that point where you can do the fairly straightforward technical piece, you got to get on the same page. You got to get everybody on the same boat. You got to have people having the right conversations about the right things, put the right process in place, get the right documentation made around those processes, and then go and find the right tooling that fits your needs. Don't start with tooling, start with conversation. And the conversation you need to have is this one. Who owns this stuff? I guarantee you there's someone in your company who thinks they own your human identity and access management program. If not, get out. Literally, get out of your company because no one's in charge of if no one's in charge of access, domain admin, or no one's in charge of Kerberos, Active Directory. No one's in charge of Active Directory or Intra in your organization. That means no one's in charge of it, and no one's securing it, and you're at risk. Go work somewhere else. Luckily, in most organizations, that person exists. There's an IAM person. They have a different title. They might not be called the IAM person. They don't report to the board of directors until you get to the $5 billion revenue mark. That was data from IANS, a research group last year out of RSA. It's probably a little bit higher than that now because everybody's dealing with this. But an IAM owner. But they don't want this problem because the numbers I showed earlier, it's a 100-to-1 problem. And they're like, wow, I can't deal with the reviews of the people we have now. You're telling me 100x the problem? So it's going to take us all. It's going to take everybody to be like, all right, I own this. I know somebody who leads security at a very large platform for music, and he's having this conversation with IT right now. Like, who actually owns our PAM? Like, who literally owns it? You need to have this conversation. This is the hard part. This is the part where culturally I have no good information and advice for you other than to start reading papers about how like Ford, GM, very large companies have done this. But ownership is very simple if you break it down in terms of Ann Lander's golden rules for living. Open it, close it, turn it on, turn it off, unlock it, lock it, boot it up, you break it. I'm not going to read the whole rest because it's very simple, straightforward. I'm the person in charge. I'm the one that makes sure it gets done. I'm the person at the end of the day will get fired if this doesn't get done. Right now, It is the developer can just do whatever they want, and the CISO gets fired later. That doesn't make any sense to me. That's ownership. Ownership's the hardest one here, and that's all I got to say about it. But you need to have that conversation with developers. Like, hey, when you create this thing, what do you think is going to happen next? If they don't have an answer for that, you don't have a governance model in place. I have a whole other talk about governance models, but we don't got time for that today. So long list secrets is the next one. This is the one that's actually pretty straightforward to solve. Not easy, but straightforward. Because how do we get developers to stop using long-lived credentials? How do we stop them from just like, all right, you exposed that credential. Cool, I'll slap in another one in the exact same code base. How do we stop this? This isn't obvious. This is a redesign of some architecture. This is some technology adoption. This is a lot of conversation, some training, some awareness. But developers can't do this on their own. If they could, they'd have already stopped because it'd be the easy path because they'd stop opening bugs. Just know in your heart, I'm a developer advocate. I will always advocate that no developer in the world wants more bugs. They don't. Every time they do a security issue and make a security issue happen that they have to go and then get involved in, guess what? To them, that is a bug. A bug is a bug is a bug. It stops them from going forward with their tech. It stops them from getting their job done. It makes them look bad. Oh, 3 bugs, you're out. There are some companies like that. How do we help them not do that? Well, long term, technology is beautiful and shiny, and it's all based on OAuth, or OAuth concepts, these like concepts. But who here already has heard about Spiffy? Cool. Anybody got Spiffy in production? Right on, right on. Zscaler uses it for humans, which is weird, but it's for everybody. It stands for Secure Production Identity Framework for Everyone. And it is a way to namespace and allow list that's very oversimplification, namespace and allow list processes or identities. Basically, we can't MFA machines, right? We can't MFA processes. Kubernetes pod spins up for literally 2 seconds to do something and then blows up and goes away. Are you going to give it an API key that doesn't ever expire, that has a wide set of permissions? No, that's dumb. What you're going to do is you'll know all the details of how this thing is born, everything around it. And when it's born, you say, okay, here's your identification, your namespace, your spiffy domain, the specific path. And we know you're you. And all of the certificate authorities know you're you. And now when you go into a system, you can say, hey, I'm me. And then we'll figure out the authorization side on the other side of that trust boundary. That's a really, really oversimplification of this. There's an awesome book, one of my favorite tech books I've ever read. It's 198 pages. It's free. It's a PDF. Highly recommend your reading assignment is to go read this book. But why is it called Solving the Bottom Turtle? It's turtle stacking, literally. Protecting. This is just too brief. I didn't want to put 2 entire paragraphs up here, but protecting one secret requires coming up with some way to protect another secret. And then it's turtles all the way down. What happens if someone gets access to your admin for your vaults? That's a bad day because you got to keep guarding that secret. Where do you put that secret? Where do you put that secret? If you don't read a whole book, one of the best talks I saw all of last year is this one, Story of Crush. It'll help you understand this stuff way deeper than I can today. But just know that, okay, you're talking about like cloud native security stuff. Cool. What about the rest of us? Well, guess what? The IETF is working on this right now. They're in revision 4 of WMSI, Workload Identity for Multi-Environment Systems. It's the same idea applied to workloads across services, across systems. We're not there yet. Not there yet, but that's the architecture of what I just described. You come into a gateway and it says, hey, who are you? What are you exactly? Oh, I know you. You can come on in. Go talk to the CA service. Go talk to your workload. The workload and the CA service will work out what permissions you got, and everybody's happy. Again, super, super, super oversimplification of a lot of really technical stuff. Just know this is coming. And I know it's coming because on May 7th of this year, it came to Kubernetes. This is how you can do image polls right now. This ain't the future anymore. This is literally how you're supposed to do it from here on out with Kubernetes. Give the pod an identity, let that identity, let it exchange its identity token. That should sound familiar. Exchange an identity token for an access token. Oh, that's called OAuth. We've been doing that for years. We just haven't done it with machines yet, not at scale. get short-lived, automatically rotated things. Anyway, you can go read the docs on there. But that's how we stopped doing different secret. But that's the long term. The shorter term is a very clear path. If we take this path, then flipping over to workload identity management, workload identity federation, federated identities is actually pretty straightforward. It's not impossible. We got to live in a world where we think every secret actually maps to an NHI, and then NHI mapping and NHI inventories, and understanding what you have running and how it all the access works makes a lot more sense. So this is going to go real fast, and I apologize, but I'm starting to run out of time. Find out your secrets, put them in the right place, adopt better developer tooling, continually scan for more secrets because people are going to be people, and automatically rotate them. First thing you do in any threat model, find all the things that you need to protect. That's it. How do you do that? People writing them down, right? You go to developers like, hey, what are all the API keys you generated in the last 6 months, right? Right? They make a backup of it? Right? Right? Unfortunately, it's not just code they're putting this in. They're putting it in text files. They're putting it in Jira. They're putting it in Slack. Fun fact, secrets we find in Slack and Jira, there's only 8% overlap between that and code. So where are the secrets living otherwise? Oh, probably are being stored in a vault. A bunch of tools that can help you find your secrets where they are. If you don't have anything in place, start with grep. Git grep is awesome. Enterprise tools exist. I have a favorite. We can move on. Secret managers, put them in the right place. This is a super accurate architecture diagram of how you use a secret manager in production. But basically, that's it. You put the secret in a secret manager. It's encrypted at rest. Then it's pulled into the application when needed. And that's when it's used. And then hopefully it's short-lived and it goes away immediately, or you rotate it the next day. But that's it. Yeah, you should have some way to centrally report on this and have some kind of access control of like who can even see this stuff and how it's used. If you're all in on one cloud provider, congratulations, you hit the lottery because this is easy because they all build one of these things. If you're not all in, but you are AWS heavy, you can actually use AWS secret managers as a multi-cloud system. Our multi-cloud authentication tool. At this point, it's called Secrets Everywhere. I've never personally touched it, but it's in the docs. And I know people that like it. Otherwise, you're going to go with one of these players or somebody else like them. These are just the big four that I know of that I work with. One of them used to have an open source project. Anyway, they all work the same way. Just pay attention to this line. This is how you call into the path to your secret, and then there's the full path to the actual secret itself. So call the service, call the path. In this case, we're actually hashing it out to say, yeah, this actually says hashy123 and print access granted. Never write a system like that, please. But this part, use. And that's what your developer needs to do. And you might be looking at that as like, that's all my developer needs to do is learn how to put it into something, derive a path, and then get it back out. Wow, that sounds awful. There's a really good talk, though, about what developers need to know about using a system like Vaults effectively, because it's not just we're just slamming this in instead of a hard-coded credential. There's a few considerations for blue-green deployments, for swapping secrets live behind the scenes behind a system like that. Kenton gave the best talk I've ever heard in my entire life about this subject last year at BSides Vegas, and the show notes or the speaker notes have the direct link. If you're going after stuff, this is easy to do for Greenfield, and then you're going to see, wow, this works so much better and so much more secure and has so many benefits. We're going to do this for the crown jewels. And then you're going to find this whole bunch of secrets you didn't know you had, and you're going to start asking, is this still in use? And then you're going to find APIs that no one's touched in 2 years that are still up and running, still costing you money, and still going to a production database. Happens to everybody. It's called a zombie. You kill zombies. You shoot them in the head. That's how you deal with zombies. But how do we get developers to do this? This is the tricky part. This is the magic trick part. Because developers want to go fast, and they hate security tools because security tools make you go slow. They slow you down. And they just want to go faster. But then we have developers who work with security engineers, guys, security engineers who build stuff for their dev teams. Yes, you're a hero. You're a superhero. Thank you for doing it. This is where you can go talk to your developers like, what's your Git flow look like? Because they're not going to talk about security because they don't want to, because they're scared of getting slowed down. But like, hey, I'm here to help you optimize your Git workflow. Like, what? Just ask them how it works. Don't question it. Don't just take notes. And you're going to see all these places where you can start using Git hooks throughout the Git hooks and Git automation and tricks and tips of Git throughout the way they work and the way they live to start doing things like this. I can't provide the actual script, but I've seen this actual run and prototype. Let them hard code their secret. Don't let them commit the secret. Stop the commit from happening. Go and register it in the vault, or go see if that secret exists in the vault. If it does, whatever happens, bring back a path. Swap that path in using setx. I don't care what bash tool you use. Swap it in for the line. Then present a prompt to the developer saying, we have swapped it for this key. It will be rotated upon push. Do you want to continue? That's a real thing you can build. Again, I've seen this built. It's a very long script, and it takes some very specific technologies. You can also do that at the PR request, because devs are still going to be devs, and they're going to end around their own hooks all the time. That is R. You want to see a reference architecture for what I just described? We built one with CyberArk. Again, I don't work for CyberArk, but this is open source. Again, the links are in the notes. I'm almost out of time, and I got a lot more slides. So next step is to rotate them. Again, if you're all in on one secret manager, this is stupid easy, because all of the scripts look like this. You create a new secret, you test it, you swap it in, you test to make sure you didn't break anything once it's swapped in, and then you clean up the stuff. I know that because that's literally the AWS script I just showed you, and there's an AWS Lambda script for every friggin' service they have, because they want you to do this. They want you to do this daily, or however often you feel comfortable taking the risk. There was a blog post about this. If you're on multi-cloud, you really can see if that third party will let you do it, that third-party system. Most of them will. It's 2025. If you're dealing with services that don't allow you to do a remote call rotation of a secret, write their customer service and ask when that feature is going to be implemented. And if they don't have a plan, it's 2025. They have competitors. This is the last one, technical complexity. Everything I just described is like getting more and more complex, especially for the developer. We want to make their life simple, but to make their life simple, we need to do something that has a lot of hops. I just worked with Ryan Letizzi, the guy who originally built StarWars.com. And every time we would like architect something, he would be the guy that step back and say, like, too many hops, that's going to break. Like, we can't do it that complex. So we can't just keep throwing these crazy strings of technology at them. We got to step back and like, so what are we actually trying to get done here? But the good news is there are some tools that can help us out with that. I'm going to point to the CSPM market, the Cloud Security Posture Management market, and that can help guide rail us. Again, developers hate these tools, but they work. Sysdig's awesome. We can start talking about things like golden images, supply chain stuff that also helps with the secret side. But then it gets back to this problem of, well, how do we manage this at scale if we can't manage it with humans at scale? Like the IAM platforms are great at humans, except what do we attack first? Yeah, Okta never got breached, ever. Intra, yeah, it's super secure. Nothing bad's ever happened with a Microsoft product. Not to throw anyone on the bus, but how do we deal with this non-human problem at this scale and work toward a world of these long-lived secrets have gone away and machines are properly accounted for? This is a nonprofit group. Full transparency, I spoke in their little workshop at Identiverse, and my company is a member or supports them. We're a sponsor. But what they've done is said, okay, here are like the 4 big things. If everybody just gets on board with this is how we manage non-human identities, then we're gonna be okay. They also keep a directory of all of the various technologies for managing non-human identities at scale. I know I said a lot of things just now. That's why I give you the slides up front. The biggest takeaway here is we can't go into the future treating machines like we trust them implicitly if all they provide is a long-lived string. And right now, that's literally how we built everything. Not everything. Some people do use PKI everywhere. Public key infrastructure, private, yeah, anyway. But by and large, if you look at how architectures are put together, it's like, oh, so just slap the API key here, slap the cert here, put the env file. Hopefully it never gets committed. It gets committed, trust us. We have to figure out how to get ahead of this. Distributed federated identities And distributed domain authorities, or certificate authorities systems are the future. So says the IETF. So says Cloud Native Security Foundation or Cloud Native Computing Foundation. So says Kubernetes now. We need to get in front of that. But to do that, we really need to have a conversation with developers like, what are you doing right now? How can we help you in the short term, not just slap another plain text secret there? How can we get them the right training? How can we put the right processes in place? And yeah, eventually the right tools. Buy your tools after you have the conversations. Never go vendor first. And if a vendor wants to lead you through a POC and say, oh yeah, we don't need to involve the developers yet, have suspicions. I'm Dwayne. I come from Chicago, help people figure stuff out. It's my entire mission in life. Hopefully I've confused you enough that you'll need me to help you figure something out later. Check out the podcast. You'll like it. And yeah, I work for Git Guardian. We're also, full transparency, one of those NHI platform companies these days, but secret detection is our bread and butter, claim to fame. And with that, I'll say thank you. And there are slides up there you can get. And I'm a minute over, but I will answer questions until we go get coffee.
So I'm going to date myself. So can you see the scale of this on the level of like Y2K 2-3 decades ago, or is it something that's not nice to have, but something that you can find pattern in or implementation developers to take seriously more so than they are now? The number you throw out there, exposed secrets, is telling. I don't know how to escalate the urgency that's coming from conferences like this.
Well, it's the awareness. It's every time I do that, and you saw the numbers people were throwing out, I had someone guess like, I don't know, 17,000 once. It's like, oh, you sweet summer child. Yeah, part of this is the awareness. Like if I go back here, literally like raise awareness is like a major component of this. You can't just train them on like, all right, use this tool blindly. It's like, you know why we're doing this, right? Here's the big scope of the problem. Now, if your executive team, we don't have time for this, but if your executive team is like, yeah, but we're not really at risk ourselves, are we? This is why I hate the term risk. I hate it. Danger. If they believed they were in danger, that, hey, you're in danger, that it's a time bomb waiting to go off, that someone's going to get in with the credentials that we found in public, and we haven't rotated them yet, and the clock is ticking, you can get something done. It's like, there's a risk we're going to get this. Like, you know what businesses run on? Risk and debt. That's why they don't understand tech debt. Tech debt doesn't make sense to a business person because they have net 90s. They have net 120s. They owe people money. They are owed money. They all run on debt. Yeah, you got more debt. Cool. We have a danger that the thing is going to blow up. What's the likelihood? Very high. We have a risk. Okay, risk probability. Give me an actuary table. What's the actuary table that you're going to get targeted by an attacker next? There isn't one. Literally isn't one. Sorry, that's a complete separate. You had your hand up first.
So from a non-developer standpoint, that you're trying to manage third-party risk for software as a service.
Yeah.
Everyone you are looking at was willing to sign something that says, "Oh, we abide by all OWASP best practices." What are some questions that you can ask that might flush out some red flags that they're using hard-coded secrets instead of using a vault like they should?
Cool. How fast can we rotate our credentials with you? Can we do it over API? If their answer to that is like, well, you would have to call customer service, they're starting hard code on a list somewhere. Like if they have to get manual involvement, that is a giant red flag. Hey, can we point through your S3 buckets? Like, can we get a sample of your S3 buckets? And if they are horrified beyond belief you even ask that, hang up the phone and call someone else because that means their buckets are open or misconfigured or they're going to find horrible things about that. Don't believe me, there's a bunch of tools to go search their S3 buckets and do the OSync yourself, but just ask them, and if they're like, oh yeah, here's a list, hit those, all you want. And you're like, oh wow, I can't get in here. That's good. We can talk afterward, but like the biggest thing I would ask right now is like, how are you dealing with multi-system federated identities? Like what's your future look like of moving away from long-lived API keys? And if the sales rep is gonna have no idea what you're talking about, but not throw a sales rep under the bus, that's not their business. say, hey, can I talk to someone in your company about the long-term roadmap for multi-system authentication? And if nobody in the company can give you an answer, it might take a couple of weeks for them to find that right person. Ask for the DevRel or ask for their head of IAM. Like, those are the people you would say, hey, go talk to those people. Like, give me an answer. And if they're like, we got nothing, that's a horrible sign. If they're like, we are working on it, what do you want to connect with? How do you want to do it? That's a very positive sign, because everyone, that's the struggle right now. Whimsy, Spiffy, if you're building your own Kubernetes clusters, straightforward as hell. What do you do when you have to reach out to a third party? That's the question mark. So if they're like, we're figuring that out, help us figure that out, that's a very good sign. Right. You know, well, actually, we're at well, go get coffee, everybody. We'll talk after. I know this guy. Well, what's your question?
Oh, it was more of a comment. You know, just great talk, but also, like, I think you talked a lot about how, you know, IAM owns a lot of this chaos. But just, I'm sure you know, in a lot of